Hello, everybody. My name is Ann Temple with Moms Across America, and I'm standing in for Zen today. And it is April 3rd, 2023. And as always, on the Moms Connect call, our mission, as always, is to educate, empower mothers and others with actions and solutions to create healthy communities. And tonight we are going to have Chef Valerie Wilson on, and I'll talk about her in a minute. But before we get started with that, I wanted to let everybody know who was on the call last week. With Peter Sullivan, we were talking about the Wi-Fi. So I went out and I bought and I just got it today, the router that's supposed to completely shut down if nothing is asking for it. So it's got 100% radiation free and standby, full eco zero emission, 90% reduced beacon pulse frequency, and I do have a meter, so I am going to be measuring before and after. But the great thing is that this comes from the Netherlands, and they sent me a European plug, so I can't use it. So I just ordered an adapter from Amazon, which should be here tomorrow, but I will be reporting on that, how that works. I have everything downstairs hooked up to my router, but I still have to get stuff upstairs and in my my basement where my brother exercises. So I'm really looking forward to it. I was very excited. Okay, so tonight we are really grateful to have back with us Chef Valerie Wilson, also known as Chef Val, and she's been in the food industry since 1985. Her first job was managing a delicatessen, and her second job was managing a French restaurant. She discovered macrobiotics in 1993 and worked as an assistant for macro cooking school for 2 years. In 1993, she also became vegan and has lived a whole foods vegan lifestyle ever since. She started teaching cooking classes in 1997 and still teaches in Westland, Michigan. Currently, she teaches virtual cooking classes every week and in-person classes monthly. Her class focus on the health benefits of whole, organic, vegan foods and the energy of the food. Based on ancient knowledge of the Orient, she teaches about cooking for the different seasons following the 5 transformations of energy. Valerie offers lifestyle counseling based on food choices. She has helped people overcome illness such as arthritis, cancer, diabetes, Meniere's disease, and allergies. For the past 20 years, she has been writing for Health and Happiness magazine based in Marquette, Michigan. She offers personal chef services specializing in cooking for anyone who has health issues. She's got her own radio show and a YouTube channel, and she's got her subscription Patreon group, and she's also started a Substack blog, which I subscribe to on Substack. She's the author of 6 cookbooks: Perceptions in Healthy Cooking and Healthy Delicious Cooking Spring Season, Vegan Cooking with Kids, Year-Round Healthy Holiday Dishes, Summer Season Healthy, Delicious and Simply Healthy Scrumptious Desserts cookbooks, released July of 2022. And she has her website, and I will be including that, of course, all those links when I send the e-blast out with the video tomorrow. And so Val, you can she's going to be talking to us about spring foods, correct?
Yes, spring foods.
And do you want me to, I think I gave you access to share screen if you need to.
I don't think I'll be able to share screen, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I thought I gave that to you.
I don't have anything I'm going to be sharing.
Oh,
so
okay. All right. Well, take it away.
All right, great. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me again, Moms Across America and the Food Network. Greatly appreciate it. And so while I'm talking and discussing cooking for the spring season and discussing springtime foods, by all means, use the chat and ask me questions. I'll try and catch them all, but if I don't, then Ann, she'll be paying attention to, and she can say, hey, Val, there's a question, or whatever, because I love audience participation. I like the back and forth conversation with people in chat. And also too, we have the little hand raising thing down at the bottom. If you have a question and you want to talk, talk to me and ask a question, by all means, you can do that too. So I'm going to teach today about what's called the 5 transformations of energy. Maybe you have heard of this and maybe you haven't, and that's okay. So it's based in ancient knowledge. They use a lot of it over in the Orient. They use it if you're ever treated for things like acupuncture. They use this knowledge behind it of the energy of the seasons and the energy of the organs. They also use this knowledge in Kung Fu and martial arts and things like that. I use it in my cooking, and I also use it in my counseling to feed and nurture different organs in the body, and they're associated with different seasons. So again, it's called the 5 transformations of energy. If you're interested, you can just type that into a Google search and you can look it up. Now, I learned a lot of this information from books. Paul Pitchford's Healing with Whole Foods. I think we talked about that last time I was on here. It's a really thick book. It's a great book. It's got all the information in it, I have this little diagram here, but I see that my light is shining on it. But this is the circle, the 5 transformations of energy, all right? And spring is right here. So when it comes to energy, and we all know that everything is made up of energy. You're made up of energy. Your food is energy, right? Your thoughts are energy. So that's all incorporated in the healthy way of eating is energy. But this is the energy of the 5 transformations, okay? So here's spring. And spring is a middle time energy, which means it's transitional. We're going from winter, which is down here, to summer, which is up here. So we're going from winter, which is a downward energy, to summer, which is an upward energy. So spring is a transitional time. That's the great thing when we talk about health and wellness, endless info, unlike the dark side who has limited vocabulary. Carla, great point, great point. So springtime is a transitional time, okay? And so in this transitional time, your body goes through a natural detoxification because, and this has to do with, a lot of this knowledge has to do with the way our ancient ancestors lived, more so than the way modern America lives. But I'll just go with the narrative. In the wintertime, you eat more foods that are more heavy and more dense. You're going to use a little more fat. You're going to use a little more seasoning because you're trying to keep your body warm, right? So then when spring comes, we want to lighten up the energy. We're moving upwards. And so we want to get to summertime where we want to be very, very active and we want our body to be light. So in wintertime, we eat more heavy foods. In summertime, we eat the lightest foods of the year. So spring is our transitional time, and your body naturally goes, okay, I'm going to want to get rid of some of this excess fat that's been stored for the wintertime, this excess cleansing of the body. So your body goes through this process. So a lot of the foods that are associated with springtime help the body detox. Are you referring to perlite?
Oh, no, that's a question. Frankie was talking to somebody else.
Okay, thanks. All right. So we're going through a transitional time. So a lot of this food helps with detoxification of the body. And one of the organs that is one of your biggest detoxification organs is the liver. So springtime is associated with liver, gallbladder, and nervous system. So all the foods I'm going to talk about here today are going to feed and nurture liver, gallbladder, and nervous system. And I think it was the last mom's call, the gentleman was talking about a fatty liver, if I remember correctly, that we were on here. He was talking about fatty liver. And I said, well, that's great, because I'm going to talk about foods that are going to help cleanse the liver. This is related to eating foods in season, correct? Yes, are you asking me, Anne?
Yeah, well, like people who are eating a lot of like tomatoes in the winter time. And I think macrobiotics is more aligned with eating foods that are available in your area in that season, correct?
Yes. Okay. It's like eating as close to nature as possible, eating the way our ancestors did. So do you think our ancestors, now I live in Michigan, So I'm going to use that analogy, but you can kind of think where you are. In the middle of winter, they would not have been able to eat tomatoes. They also would not have been able to eat very much fruit, right? But in the summertime, when blueberries and raspberries are fresh, you go outside, you can pick them. And again, fruit has such a lighter energy. It's associated with summer, okay? So springtime is a transitional time, and it's also a detoxification time. So again, one of the main organs that's associated with spring is your liver. Liver is one of your most complex organs. And if you don't know, it's large and it's located on the right side in the front, like in your upper right side. That's where your liver is located. Your liver has the ability to neutralize poisons and remove them out of your system. So it gets the toxins out of your system. Your liver also stores glucose and also purifies the blood. So a very important organ in your body. Now, the liver and the gallbladder help to support your nervous system. Your liver and your gallbladder they store bile. And this is a liquid that's used in the body to help emulsify fat. So again, we were talking about detoxing and getting rid of that excess fat in the springtime associated with the liver and the gallbladder. See, a long time ago, our ancestors that lived really close to nature, they kind of knew this information inherently. It was just whatever came out of the ground and grew out of the ground first, they would start eating at springtime. Well, then fast forward to nowadays where scientists study all these things, and it comes to find out all of those foods are good for the liver and the gallbladder and the nervous system. So all this information that our ancient ancestors had inherently, because they were living so close to nature, makes sense now. We've got science behind it also. So your liver, or your gallbladder, unfortunately, people have their gallbladder removed because doctors think, oh, it's a useless organ. And I'm sorry, but every organ in your body has a function and it's important and should remain in there, in my opinion. So your gallbladder stores the bile, and the gallbladder is located right underneath your liver, right? That's the right-hand side. And the gallbladder helps to aid in the digestion of fat also. When I was teen, I had cramps and caused me to throw up bile. Why did this happen? Carla asked, why does this happen? When I was a teen, I had cramps and caused me to throw up bile. Why did this happen? That's an excellent question. There could be many reasons why that was happening. There could have been a malfunction with your gallbladder. Maybe when you were a teen, you were eating a lot of fatty foods. So the gallbladder, again, your gallbladder is the organ that kind of regulates the fat in your system. So if you have a gallbladder flare up, or if you have gallstones or things like that, you probably are eating a high fat diet. And it's the fat, the fattiness. Wouldn't want to leave alone a necrotic gallbladder. Well, yeah, obviously, if you have something wrong with your gallbladder, you do need to get assistance and try and figure it out. But one of the things you can do for your gallbladder, if you have problems, is detox your gallbladder, right? And one of my all-time favorite vegetables, asparagus. Spring's first violets. Are violets good for liver and gallbladder? Yes, they are, absolutely. Yes. Violets come up out of the ground very quickly, and I pick the violet leaves and I dry them, and then I make tea. You can make, God, I digress because you guys asked such great questions, but you can make tea out of the violet leaves. I have them growing in my backyard, and I pick the leaves and I boil them and I make tea, and the tea is delicious. But then I dried a lot of those leaves, and I saved them, so I had dried leaves all year long. I also took the violet flowers and I made jam. So I made like raspberry violet jam with the little flower in there. And that was really cool too. But your question, are violets good for the liver and gallbladder? Absolutely. Yes, help to detoxify. So one of my favorite vegetables is a signature vegetable for spring, asparagus. Anybody else like asparagus? love
I
learning
just
something new.
started a crop of strawberries and asparagus, and this year I'm expecting, this will be my 3rd year, so I'm expecting lots of asparagus.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last time because
Yeah.
I picked organic asparagus last year from an organic farm around here. It was the most delicious asparagus I've ever had in my life. So this is one of the vegetables that comes out of the earth very quickly, early. It's an early crop, right? For Ann Val, my ASD daughter vomits when she starts her period, usually in the morning. Weird.
I don't know why that would be.
Usually I don't know what that is either. We'd have to be a little more specific to try and figure that out. All right, so asparagus has vitamin K for your blood, vitamin E, natural antioxidant, vitamin C to help boost your immune system, vitamin A for your eyes. Let's see, zinc, potassium. It has the ability to detoxify substances that are foreign to your body from a substance called, and excuse me if I pronounce these things wrong because they're hard to pronounce, glutathione.
Glutathione.
Yes, thank you. That helps that's the detoxification substance that's in the asparagus to cleanse foreign things out of your body, and also has been shown that it may help protect against cancer.
Do you recommend eating it raw, or can you also cook it and still keep a lot of the nutrition?
Asparagus is one of those vegetables you can eat either raw or cooked. I think it tastes better cooked, personally, but you can digest it raw. It's kind of crunchy if you eat it raw. I have snacked on it raw, but I do prefer it cooked. You're not going to lose any of the detoxification value if you cook it. You're not going to lose any of the vitamins if you cook it. Okay, so you can do it either way.
I marinated a little Italian dressing and threw it on the grill. It's delicious.
Grilled asparagus, one of my favorite dishes ever. Are you kidding me? I love asparagus. After eating asparagus, your urine has a strong smell. Wonder if that is nitrogen. So Beverly, there is a small percentage of people on the planet that when they eat asparagus, there is a part of the asparagus that they cannot properly digest, and then their urine has a strong smell. I am blessed that I am one of those people that can completely digest asparagus. That doesn't happen to me. But thank you for bringing up that point. Yes, there is a small percentage of people that when they digest it, they do have that strong smelling urine. But that doesn't mean that it's bad for you. Continue to eat your asparagus, okay? Now, asparagus also helps to improve liver enzymes that help protect against fat buildup and decrease inflammation, and also helps to decrease oxidized stress. And oxidized stress can disrupt every cell in your body, right? And then your body becomes toxic. So asparagus can help anti-inflammatory and help you with oxidized stress. So fantastic. All right, so that's asparagus. Now, another great vegetable for springtime, which I think you guys are all going to be familiar with, because I think everybody talks about it now. They used to not talk about it, but now everybody talks about it, right? Organic dandelion greens. I just got these from the store today. They're beautiful. These happen to be red ones, which means the stem is red. That's totally fine, because we've all, like growing up as a kid, weren't you told dandelions were a weed? Well, guess what? They're not a weed. They're a fantastic nutrient dense food, and they're quite tasty too. And they're one of the signature foods that helps detoxify your liver. They are diuretic in nature. That means they cleanse the body. They are green. So anything that's green has chlorophyll in it. Chlorophyll, again, is going to cleanse those toxins out of your body. It helps to lower blood pressure. It's really high in vitamin C, iron, and calcium. Dandelion greens also contain vitamin K. has anti-inflammatory system, helps improve your immune system, really good for your skin, dandelion greens are, and it's excellent for your digestion. So dandelion greens are a prebiotic. So when you eat them, they start secrete the digestive fluid in your body. So the rest of the food gets digested really good. One of the first food for the bees, Anne says, absolutely. And so a lot of times what I do with the dandelion greens is I make a tea, kind of like I was talking about that violet tea. I like to take the greens and just chop them up and just, I bring the water to a boil and then I shut the water off and then put the dandelion greens in there and just let them steep. And then I drink that. This would also help you if you had gallstones, drinking this dandelion tea. It can help break it up, right? And speaking of gallstones, the signature flavor for springtime is sour. So what are some foods you can think of that are sour? You can put them in the chat. So anytime you eat foods that are sour, you're feeding and nurturing your liver, your gallbladder, and your nervous system. Sauerkraut, absolutely. I love sauerkraut. And this is the time of year where you can make salads and put sauerkraut on it. I've been doing that a lot lately. Sauerkraut tastes really good with pasta too. I use brown rice pasta, whole grain pasta, and I put the sauerkraut with it, and it's awesome. Pickles, absolutely, pickles, because pickles are fermented with good, hopefully sea salt and vinegar. So vinegar is sour. So I use brown rice vinegar, which is like a sweet sour vinegar. And I also use ume vinegar, which is a salty sour vinegar. That's a great place to get sour. Best to break, chop to expose the cell walls, more nutrients. Lisa, are you talking about the dandelion greens? I do chop them when I make my dandelion green tea. I chop up the dandelions and put them in the hot water. Umeboshi plums. Absolutely, Joan. Absolutely,
Yes,
my umeboshi
yes.
plums. Yeah.
Definitely chop everything up. You want to break the cell walls.
Yep, that's how I make my tea. Wow, Val, are very young comfrey leaves okay to eat with fatty liver? And what about bitters? My God, these are such great questions. I love comfrey. I use comfrey to heal so many things. You would like be blown away. In fact, last month I taught a 3-week series and one of the classes was comfrey, and it was all about what it does for you. So comfrey is a bitter green. It is a plant to eat with fatty liver. And what about bitters? So yes, comfrey would cleanse the body. It would be good for your fatty liver. And bitters. So your bitters, okay, so there's a category of food that people call bitters. So that would be dandelion greens, that would be parsley, that would be kale and collard greens. So these are all great foods. You do have to be careful not to over consume them, okay? And again, everybody's condition is different. Now, when it comes to a fatty liver, comfrey would be good, don't get me wrong, but I think dandelion greens and asparagus and the whole grain barley that I haven't got to yet, but I'm going to teach you about barley. I think those 3 plants, dandelion, asparagus, and barley, would be even a little better for getting for the fatty liver, although there's nothing wrong with comfrey. So my answer is yes, you could use comfrey, but I think I would use those other things too. Lemon, lime, and grapefruit, and so easy to grow. Yes, like sour soup bitters, arugula. What happens when you overdo bitter greens? All right, so arugula, I love arugula, but arugula is bitter. So arugula is more a signature summertime food because anything that's bitter feeds and nurtures your brain and your heart. And hopefully we can set up another one of these calls in the summertime and I can go over bitter foods and summertime foods, but I do love arugula. What happens if you overdo bitter greens? Again, you run the risk, you could detoxify your body too quickly. Okay, so again, everybody's different, and you have to kind of look at your condition. If you have if you're in a weakened state, or if you have a chronic condition that's been happening for a long, long time, you want to detoxify slowly. You don't necessarily want to detoxify quickly. And too many greens could detoxify your body too quickly. Oxalic acid. Oxalic acid is located in spinach. So I do not eat spinach. I do not recommend spinach. And so I don't use that particular green in particular. When I studied macrobiotics with Kushi, awesome, someone's on the call who studied macrobiotics with Kushi. He said, if you eat brown rice with oxalic acid vegetable, it counteracts the bad effects of the oxalic acid. So, yes, well, I have to agree with that, with the brown rice, absolutely. And so usually that is the combination, eating a whole grain such as brown rice with the green vegetables, yes. Now, when you're saying oxalic acid, are you talking about the nightshade vegetables, oxalic acid? Am I pronouncing that right?
I'm not sure, but I was told like too much spinach that it was high in that.
Yeah,
And
well, yeah,
Thomas is saying, and I guess chard.
yeah. I just looked in my cookbook where it says nightshade to make sure that the word was spelled right, to make sure that I was getting the right. And yes, oxalic acid, that's how it's spelled. So yes, that would be Swiss chard and spinach. And so, I mean, I personally don't eat Swiss chard or spinach because they are in the nightshade family. And I have a family history of arthritis in my family. So I stay away from nightshade vegetables. But again, everybody's different. And if you don't have a family history of arthritis, you could eat the spinach and it would have no effect on you, which is why I always emphasize everybody's different. But again, that could be a problem if you ate too many greens, yes, with the oxalic acid. All right, so then we've got two different spellings here. We got oxalic acid, which we were talking about the nightshade vegetables. Then we have OXYLATS. And Frankie is saying are not in nightshades, not usually. So I was trying to clarify if the wording was there. Joan said, I also studied with Kushi and his wife. Oh my God, I'm so excited that you guys are here. That's awesome. Yep. Selenade is the toxin in nightshades. Yes, that's another toxin. Thanks, Val, for saying that there isn't a one size fits all in a healthy lifestyle. Absolutely, Carla. There's just so many different ways. And usually this is so exciting because usually when I talk and give a lecture about macrobiotics, people in the audience, this is like, they haven't heard of it before. What are soursop bitters? Elaine asked. I don't know what soursop bitters are. If anybody else knows what soursop is, that would be great. Yeah. So I'm so excited with the chat that's going on during our discussion. This is awesome. It's really about balance. You can usually find a balanced way to eating most anything. Yes, Thomas, love that. Absolutely love it. And that's, I think, why people can't understand macrobiotics, because it's about balance. And a lot of times, and I don't mean to downgrade or anything other, but a lot of times people will say, I want to be on a healthy diet, and someone will say, okay, do this, this, and this. No, you have to do this, this, and this. And macrobiotics is listen to your body, do things in balance, learn about the energy, learn that everything is energy, and eat according to the season. So when you lead a healthy lifestyle in the macrobiotic way, it's like you are your own life coach. You are your own observer. You are listening to your body and you're doing what is right for your body. Where unfortunately, I think a lot of us are disconnected from listening to our body. So we go and somebody says, do this, this, and this, and you do this, this, and this, like forever. And you may not feel good, but you're afraid to change that. And you're afraid to be flexible and balanced and everything. So that's not good for you either. So for instance, like I counseled this one lady who had arthritis, and she was a very nice lady, but her hands were like bent like this. She was that bad. And when I started talking with her, she was doing a smoothie in the morning, every morning, and she put spinach in the smoothie. And I told her, well, that's a nightshade vegetable and it could be making your arthritis worse. Why are you doing that? And she said that, somebody told her that smoothies are great for you and that you have to put spinach in your smoothie. But yet she did it and her arthritis was getting worse and worse. So she really wasn't listening to her body. If you start doing something and your body starts to feel worse, stop doing it, right? That's not the thing for you. Do something else. All right. So Anne I'll put the link in. I already read that. Thanks, Anne. Bittersweet. Okay. So simply put, living bitters in a potent, concentrated, liquid, natural health food concoction. It usually consists of a unique formula that includes various herbs and plants. So yeah, I'm not familiar with that concoction. So umeboshi is not local, confused. Yeah, so here's the thing. When it comes to umeboshi not being local, it's a fermented food, which means that it will last a really long time. So think about it this way. A long time ago, when we were ancient humans and we lived on the planet and we walked everywhere, if something was non-perishable and we could carry it with us, then we could travel and we could eat it and we didn't have to worry about eating local so much. An example would be, let's say we were an ancient ancestor and we walked to the ocean and we picked some seaweed. Seaweed is nutrient dense, it's fantastic for you. And then we dried it and we put it in our pouch and then we continued to walk, and that sea vegetable, because we dried it, would last for years and years and years. So it would never go bad. So we could eat it all year round, and we could eat it even when we weren't next to the ocean. We could eat it when we were inland because it wouldn't rot. Now, the difference would be, for instance, a banana. If we were somewhere where it was tropical and it was hot, we could pick a banana and we could eat it. But if we were an ancient ancestor and we pick a banana and then we started walking, right, within a week, within a month, that banana, it's rotten, right? We can't preserve it in any way, shape, or form. So that's why there are some foods that may not be local to where you live, but you still eat them because they are non-perishable. And that includes the whole grain category, because the whole grains, you may not be able to grow the whole grain barley where you live, although barley is an adaptogen grain and you can grow it almost anywhere, but I was just using an example. So whole grains are non-perishable and they can travel forever. So I hope that explains the umeboshi not being local. And also because umeboshi, God, it's so medicinal, antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal, so many things. Practitioners done correctly improves intuition. Intuition is my most powerful tool for help. Listen to yourself, can be said. Love that, Thomas. Absolutely love that. Sorry, but spinach is not a nightshade, from Frankie. Okay, I've been taught for over 30 years that spinach is a nightshade vegetable. I cooked macaroni for my mom. She was ill 20 years ago. I used Kushi's book also called Swedish or live bitters, digestive aid. Miso lasts forever. Thank you, Joan. Dandelion vinegar made with dried root. Oh my God, that sounds delicious, Kate. Dandelion vinegar made with dried root. Oh my God, that's awesome. Frankie says that spinach is not a nightshade. If you had some type of information where you were seeing that it wasn't a nightshade, because from my best information, it is a nightshade, spinach. So yeah, the same with seeds and grains. Absolutely. Yes. All right. So go ahead. Somebody saying something?
No, that was me. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I wanted to get to the whole grain section of spring. So the whole grains for the springtime are, the one I'm going to teach you about is barley, but it's also rye and wheat. So do you see that in the category of the springtime for your liver, your gallbladder, your nervous system, guess what? They have gluten in them. Okay. So here's the thing about gluten. And I think that the Mom's Call and Zen and everything, I think they've addressed this so many times. You probably are not having a problem with gluten. You are having a problem with glyphosate. Now, there is the exception to that. There's people with celiac disease, and they have to be really, really careful, and I get that. But I think most people do not have a problem with gluten. They have a problem with celiac disease, or they have a problem with the new wheat that has been hybrid and is a completely different plant that we're consuming now than our ancestors did a long time ago. So I think that's why people think they have a gluten problem. So umeboshi vinegar, good for metabolizing calcium and grease. Does ume vinegar ever go bad, or umeboshi? It is a naturally fermented food. So the best of my knowledge, it won't go bad. Maybe if you set it out in a spot that was like 100 degrees and let it sit out there, then it would probably go bad. I recall from the macro days that they main nightshades are tomato, eggplants, and potatoes. Yes, those are also nightshades. Yes. Here we got the whole grain barley. Now I did get pearled barley. Pearled barley means that some of the outside was polished off of it. So it is a softer, a more easier to cook whole grain, but it still has the vitamins, minerals, and fiber in it. It's not like white rice, okay? And you can also not get the pearl barley. You can get whole barley if you want. This is what it looks like before it's cooked. And I also
I got a bag since after our last talk. I ordered some barley, that exact one, and I haven't used it yet. I have to use it.
Yeah, so I also cooked up some barley before the call, just so you could see what it looks like. You want to do a comparison? This is what it looks like cooked, and this is what it looks like raw.
Looks like rice.
It kind of does. I think it's a little chewier than rice, and also the kernels are a little bigger. Now, if you want a barley stew recipe, you can go to my website, macroval.com. My recipe of the month is a barley springtime vegetable stew, and it features dandelion greens, asparagus, barley. So that recipe is there. I eat only organic, but cannot tolerate any gluten. Acorn and tricolate are also verboten. Okay, I don't know what
Verboten means you can't have it.
Right. So Frankie, yeah, there are people out there, like I said, some people cannot handle it, and that's totally fine. Yeah. So I usually get this addressed. So in the springtime, if you can't do barley, rye, or wheat, rolled oats. Rolled oats is also in this spring energy phase, and rolled oats is gluten-free. So you don't have to worry about that, because it's important to feed and nurture your liver and your gallbladder, right? Let me tell you about barley. Rich in niacin, B vitamins. It's great for your cardiovascular system. In fact, it helps to prevent the development of atherosclerosis, which is where the walls of your artery developed abnormalities, which are called lesions. So if the inside of your arteries get those lesions, and then they start to build up, and then the artery gets smaller and smaller. So barley can help prevent the development of that. I thought that was very interesting. Lowers cholesterol. It has a trace mineral in it, which is essential for vital functions of your organs, and it helps to detoxify deadly sulfates and toxins out of your body. And it's in barley, and it is, again, I'm going to slaughter the way you pronounce this, so excuse me, molybdenum, MOLYBDENUM, and that's a trace mineral that's in barley that, again, helps cleanse deadly toxins out of your system. Barley is, as I mentioned, it's an adaptogen whole grain. The plant is very adaptable, which means it can grow in a dry climate. It can grow in a wet climate. It can grow in a hot climate. It can grow in a cold climate. So you know what that does for you and your health? that makes you flexible. So when the food that you eat in the environment, it does the same thing in your body. So spring is a transitional time. We're going from winter to summer. It's flexibility, it's transitional. So barley helps with that, definitely. Good for your brain. Thank you, Beverly. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to pronounce. Molybdenum. Molybdenum. Yeah. So
Say it 10 times fast.
yeah, molybdenum. Barley was also the main food of the gladiators. The gladiators were called barley men, and most of their diet was roasted barley. And they were physically strong, like super strong people. And most of what they ate was barley. Okay. So that's the whole grain barley. And when you eat it, it's chewy. It has a naturally sweet flavor. It is known as one of the detoxification grains that cleanse toxins out of your body. Oats must be certified gluten-free, organic or not. So that's from Frankie.
So I was told by Dr. McDougall that the gladiators, when they went to war, would stop eating any kind of meat because they couldn't perform as well. That they went back to their whole grain diet to make them stronger. And he said,
yeah, that from the history that I studied, they were mostly plant-based. Gladiators were mostly plant-based, and the majority of what they ate was roasted barley. Yeah. Yeah, beets are not in the nightshade family. According to Dr. Gundry.
Dr. Gundry.
Gundry.
Yeah, he's all over. He's got an opinion on everything. You could spend a lot of money on his website.
Okay. All right. So
what's your favorite way to prepare barley? But is it what I mean? I put the link in here for your
website,
your
the recipe of the month.
Yeah, the recipe of the month. So I'm going to definitely make this. But do you have another way? Do you just eat it plain? Do you put it in other things?
A few different ways. So I really love barley in soup, like a split pea soup or a lentil soup, because it creates a thick soup broth. And if you're like, I cooked it up, and now that it's cooked, you could get yourself a bed of lettuce and put some lettuce and then put the whole grain barley on it. And then you could put cucumbers and whatever your favorite vegetables are and put some good salad dressing on it. And it could be a salad. I love it that way. Put it with asparagus. That would be yummy. I like it in stews and soups. That would be my favorite. Stews and soup. Yes, definitely. Let's see if I went over. Oh, the cooking methods. So cooking methods for the springtime is light pickling, because we did talk about pickling and the naturally sour flavor. So that's the type of cooking that we do. Sauteing. So a quick saute, sauteing your vegetables very lightly, and also blanching. So I do this dish. It's a signature springtime dish, and it's called boiled vegetables, where you bring a pot of water to a boil, you put a vegetable in it, and you cook it in the boiling water until it's soft, and then you remove that vegetable, and then you can do another vegetable. Asparagus tastes fantastic like that. Kohlrabi. Kohlrabi is another springtime vegetable that's in the cabbage family. Sweet potatoes take excellent like that also, boiled vegetables. Just looked up nightshade veggies. Spinach is not mentioned, Joan. That's okay. So again, I get most of my information from books that I've been reading for over 30 years. And I have to say, when you look things up on the internet, sometimes you find the right answer and sometimes you find stuff that's not true. it's just the way it is. I'm amazed when I look things up on the internet and I see things that are written there, and I pull out my books either on macrobiotic or Oriental medicine or the 5 transformations of energy or any number of books that I've been studying for 30 years. And it completely contradicts what
I was
seems
having
to
the
be
same
obvious.
discussion. I was having the same discussion with my brother once, and I said, if you want to continue on with some of your bad habits, you can find a website that will support that. And I found a website about bacon is magic. And they would talk about all the health benefits of eating bacon. And I showed it to him. And I said, here's my point. So you have to, like you or somebody said earlier, you have to follow your intuition and what's right for you.
And I've counseled so many people with arthritis, and when they stop eating spinach, it makes a huge difference. Yeah, spinach is very high in oxalic acid, harmful to kidneys and joints. The kids on Mary Poppins hated Nanny that always smelled like barley water. That's hilarious. I am intrigued by barley water. What about the smells? Are you familiar with splashing on some barley water?
No, like splashing it on your skin. Is it supposed to be a
For your skin. Yeah, it's got anti-inflammatory properties. It's an antioxidant. I am familiar with roasted barley tea, which I absolutely love in the springtime. It has a kind of, they roast it, so it has kind of a bitter flavor to it. And some people use it as a coffee substitute, roasted barley tea.
So when
And I
you
don't
roast,
think-
when you roast it, do you cook it first and then roast it, or just roast the barley grains as you get them?
Well, I actually buy roasted barley tea and it's already roasted.
Okay.
But you would roast it first. Roast it first, and then you boil it in water and you drain the water and you drink the water. Barley does have gluten in it. Yes, I know. I said that when I first introduced barley. It is a whole grain. This category of spring season incorporates barley, wheat, and rye. So your 3 whole grains that have gluten in them are found in the spring season. Yeah. Always in moderation. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Is it
burdock
this time of year
root.
to dig up actually, you dig up burdock root in the fall season, the fall time.
Yeah, well, the plants aren't even up now. I wouldn't know where to dig.
When I was pregnant, I found a great site about ways to deal with the fibroid that was beneficial shortly after, and to this day, I can't find it. Yeah, so they do take stuff down too. And when I used to do research, and I haven't been on the computer for very long, by the way, and I always go with Chinese Oriental medicine when I do research, and I used to be able to find websites with Chinese Oriental medicine. Guess what? I have to really look for them now. It's hard to find them. So I rely on my books. Roasted dandelion tea. Yep, roasted dandelion tea. That's another coffee substitute. I must say about dandelions, they also use the flowers, and I've done it both ways. I prefer dandelion tea done with the greens as opposed to the flowers. I think the flowers are more bitter than the greens. That's just my own personal opinion about dandelions, right? Traditional tea, yeah. So I wanted to let you know that this is what I do for a living. I teach cooking classes all the time. Usually on Wednesdays, I have cooking classes. This coming Wednesday, 2 days from now, I'm doing a complete Easter dinner, which incorporates a delicious asparagus onion side dish. It's glazed asparagus and onions with slivered almonds. There's also a layered dish with roasted spring vegetables, a whole grain millet, pinto beans, a Mexican carrot sauce, and it's topped with homemade soy jalapeno cheese that I'm making from scratch, and the most delicious savory corn muffins. I just created this recipe. Savory corn muffins. They're moist and they're soft, and they have a little bit of jalapeno in them too.
Yes,
And
Mark Doodle
go ahead.
of Doodle Farm sells really fantastic cornmeal.
Yeah. And anybody who's on the mom's call, if you want to attend Wednesday's cooking class, I will give you a $5 discount. And it's only for people who are on the call right now, just so you know. Anne mentioned I have a Substack blog that you can subscribe to. And let's see, what else do I have? My YouTube channel. I have lots of videos. In fact, I just started every Tuesday at 3:00. I go live on Facebook and YouTube, and I do a recipe. Tomorrow, I'm going to do red lentil soup, and that recipe is out of my first cookbook, Perceptions in Healthy Cooking. I'm kind of doing recipes out of my first cookbook. So I'm trying to do like a live show every Tuesday, and that's Eastern Standard Time at 3:00. And I'm not only myself, but I'm inviting other chefs or people who want to share their healthy lifestyle on my show. I had a friend who did yoga, and she did some deep breathing exercises and some yoga poses on one of my previous shows. So you can watch me live. And then if you can't catch it live, it's recorded, but definitely go to my YouTube channel and watch that. And if you are on the call right here and you might want to be a guest, you want to come on my Facebook, YouTube live or whatever, you want me to interview you, you want to share something, whatever, yeah, get a hold of me. Macroval.com is my website. And if you scroll down on the homepage, it says contact Val. And it's val@macroval.com, but that's my website.
Well, I'm gonna
So make
send
sure-
all this information out tomorrow when
Oh,
I send
great.
the class.
Awesome. Looks yummy. Thanks, Val. You're on Instagram. Thank you, Carla. I just joined Instagram at the beginning of the year. Sometimes I forget that. So that's,
There's so much to keep track of.
I know, Chef Val _Macroval. Do you cook with seitan and tempeh, Joan? Absolutely. I love seitan, but that is made from wheat. So there are a lot of people who can't handle the gluten, but I love seitan. And then tempeh is gluten-free. So tempeh is one of my all-time favorite foods. I have a lot of tempeh recipes. I have a tempeh burger recipe in here. I have, this is my summer cookbook.
Do you buy the do you have to buy the tempeh or do you make the tempeh? It's kind of a mystery to me. I know you,
I buy it.
I see it in the stores.
I buy tempeh. I've never made it from scratch, but there's a place in Ann Arbor or Michigan that makes tempeh from scratch. And oh my God, it's one of the most delicious foods I've ever tasted in my life. But I'm really busy creating recipes and kind of don't have time to make tempeh. If I had time, I would. I need to learn yoga. Ann Temple says, oh, I've been doing yoga for over 20 years, like 25 years. I still do it to this day. I love doing it. So Ann Temple, yeah, Ann, go and watch that YouTube video I have. Her name is Patricia Becker, and she does yoga, and she's so sweet. She's so nice. She's so positive and upbeat. She's a really nice lady. Gobo recipe, shredded burdock root, julienne carrots, dried chili peppers, soy sauce, mirin, sake, sugar. No sugar, no sugar, no sugar. But she's talking about kimpira. My kimpira, I do just burdock and carrots and tamari. I don't put any spicy stuff in it, and I don't put any sugar. And Thomas, there was a macrobiotic cookbook from Boston back in the early 90s. It had a cornbread recipe I use. I stone ground the flour. Oh my God, stone ground the flour. Yum. Just before making the bread. The trick was putting it in day-old brown. Yes, but yeah, I have this corn muffin doesn't have it in it, but I've put brown rice in it before. Yeah.
The YouTube
Yeah.
link I just put up is for Patricia Becker's yoga channel.
Oh, good. Awesome. Slightly fermented brown rice. Yeah. Oh my God, Thomas, that sounds absolutely delicious. I love that. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And I wanted to give a shout out and say hello and thank you so much for all my Children's Health Defense chat friends. They're so supportive and so sweet and wonderful. Yes. Yeah, we chat all the time. I think everybody on the call probably pretty much tunes into Children's Health Defense, but I got a lot of great
Love
ideas. Thank
Children's
you.
Health Defense.
Absolutely. Yeah. God, this has been so much fun. and the interaction and you guys asking questions, and
I know,
just
I
love
always
sharing.
learn something new. I think you even learned something new.
yes, yes.
And that's like one of my
I
sayings. It's a good day when you learn something new.
In case you can't tell, I love food. I absolutely love food, and I especially love healthy food and sharing food. And I love to taste and eat food. You know, I heard it say once, this was so funny. Somebody was talking about if you're anorexic or if you're overweight and you have a problem with food, they said you're always thinking of food, you're constantly thinking of food. And I thought for a moment and went, well, I mean, knock on wood, I'm a very healthy person and I didn't suffer from any of those diseases, but I am always thinking about food. I am always thinking about, can I make a new recipe? I'm going to go home and I'm going to cook this, and I can't wait to cook this, and this tastes so good. Thank you, Carla. I wanted to know what we should plant and harvest at the correct time, like what to plant, how to eat in fall or late summer. Great info and energy. You embody spring. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, yeah, Anne wanted to know like what plants and what correct time for fall or late summer. Now, I'm not sure of exactly the times, but fall vegetables are pumpkins, squashes, turnips, things from the root. Late summer vegetables are more like your zucchinis, and let's see, late fall would be like carrots, radishes.
And to answer a question, this next couple of days, I started them in my basement. I plan on putting out my brassicas and my collard greens and broccoli and kale, and those like they're cool season crops. So those don't do so well in the heat of summer. And I'm going to be planting peas, and Mark's on the call. He could probably talk about that, but those are things that I'll plant in the spring, and then I will plant them again in the fall because then they like the cool fall weather. So that's what I'm going to start planting now. And I'm going to be sending out a link to a video also 17 crops that you can start planting now. I'm going to send that out with the e-blast tomorrow from somebody we've had on a previous call. Mark, are you still on with us?
Yes.
Do you have anything to add about what people could be doing now that I didn't mention?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with peas, certainly oats and some of those things as cover crops. But you know,
Also, my rye cover crop starting to look very green.
how tall is it?
Oh, it's only about an inch. It hasn't started growing yet.
When it's almost as tall as you are, then we'll crimp it.
Okay. I'm excited.
So Elaine asked, what about sprouts, broccoli sprouts, macrobiotic standpoint? Actually, sprouts are in the springtime category right now. So emphasize sprouts right now. I don't eat a lot of sprouts. They're very cooling. So again, a spring, summer thing, especially in the middle of summer when it's really hot, sprouts cool the temperature down. I would probably eat the whole broccoli as opposed to the sprout. There's nothing wrong with the sprouts. The energy is just different, you know? So I know a lot of people enjoy sprouts.
I grow a lot of broccoli and cabbage and stuff like that. And then I'll come out in the morning and I'll pick leaves off of certain plants, and those I'll put in my smoothies.
Yeah. What are the best things to eat when going through menopause? Well, again, everybody's different and it depends. First of all, if you're going through menopause, you do not want to eat sugar in any way, shape, or form. Stop eating sugar, really. And depending on how bad your menopause is, how are your hot flashes? If it's bad, I'm also going to recommend stop eating fruit. Not for the rest of your life, but until you can get those hot flashes in that menopause under control.
I never went through any of that. I was so lucky.
And soy foods, organic, whole soy foods, not refined processed, are going to help to stabilize your hormones. And then, of course, someone mentions red clover tea. Yeah, there's lots of teas that would also be beneficial for going through menopause. Yeah. And sprouts are cooling. Yep, that's just what I just said. Yep, absolutely.
Wow.
All right, so who's gonna go out and plant some asparagus or go buy some asparagus and cook some asparagus?
Order
Everyone
some,
should-
order some crowns and then you'll have asparagus for forever. I'm really looking forward to this year. I had quite a bit last year, but it was only the second year. So I'm thinking this year I'm really going to be having. And a lot of times they don't even make it into the house because they're so tender when you just pick them.
You just pick them and eat them.
Mm.
Yum.
And I
Yum.
and I was
Yeah.
told they do well with strawberries, so they're in a big bed together.
You'll have to, like, when they're grown and everything and we're on the call, I hope you like show us them, what they look like growing and everything.
Oh yeah, one thing I did learn was that I need to take more pictures this year of everything I'm growing, but I am starting like I've started a lot of stuff in my basement. Yes, Eileen, yeah, I was told that they're a good companion crop to each other. So we'll see this year. My strawberry plants have kind of gone crazy and they went over it's a raised bed. They went over the raised bed. I'm going to have strawberries coming up and throughout my wood chips, and that's okay. I can share with the wildlife.
They have asparagus that grows wild here in Michigan, the wild asparagus, but unfortunately I've never been able to find it. I would love to. I'm thinking wild asparagus would just blow my mind. It would be so delicious.
So yeah, everybody get growing. And one of the things about the Neighborhood Food Network call, I wanted to mention, and I kept forgetting, so I'm glad I remembered it now, is if somebody wants me to design a Neighborhood Food Network business card for them, I hand them out all the time. I have a picture of the tow truck driver. My truck wouldn't start, and started talking to him, and he said he wanted to learn how to grow food. And I just have my business cards and I hand them out and say, join us on the call. So if anybody wants me to design them, you'll have to send them to get printed, but I will be more than happy to do that because it's just great to start conversations with people about food and growing. And it's just, come join us. And you don't have to have a Neighborhood Food Network to do it. We originally started it out that way, but I talked to Zen and I said, let's just, if people want these cards, you can even print them out yourself. But it's great. I mean, I'm sure you have cards, Val, don't you, that you just hand to people that you meet and you're talking and.
Business cards, yes. Mhm.
Yes. So, yeah. So if anybody wants to let me know, I will be more than happy to do it. I'll mention that in the e-blast tomorrow. So, does anybody have any more questions for Val? If not, we can call it a night, or anybody have any comments? No? Okay. Well, Val, it's always like, I just love it when you're on. It's because you just give the best information. And now I have some ideas of what I'm going to do with my barley that I ordered.
Yes, definitely.
And I
Yeah,
got the dulse that you mentioned last time, and I've been sprinkling that on all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it's I like being healthy.
yeah, it feels really good, doesn't it?
Oh no, somebody's actually wanting to come in. So
Yeah, we'll have to set up one for summer foods too.
yeah, and I think we're gonna have another one. By the way, in 2 weeks, everybody, I have a guy talking about vermicomposting coming on, which that's kind of a mystery to me. So we're gonna learn how to grow some worms.
So Mark, send me an email at val@macroval.com. If you wanted to talk to me about, he said bean burger. Yeah, send me an email, val@macroval.com.
All right. Well, everybody, I guess we're going to call it a night for that. I'll be, like I said, I'm going to be processing this video, getting it posted up to YouTube, and I'll send the link out to everybody tomorrow with all of Val's links and all the other links that we were talking about. So thanks a lot, everybody, and everybody have a great night.
Thank you.